Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Hoang podcast experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How the heck are you? Coming at you live in the flesh. It's your boy Hoang, the Asian sensation, and I'm back at it again, creating another great episode that is the Hoang podcast experience, coming at you live in the beta room of the Asian Sensation Studios that is located over in the Washington DC Metropolitan Area. And, you know, we're at it. We're creating great content. It is great to be here in the booth. And I'm excited because for the first time ever, we are actually working on a new recording system. I don't want to get too technical about it, but I'm actually using as a microphone my official microphone that I use when I interview my guests online using Zoom. So the Shure MV7 is in effect. I'm using it. It's connected to a machine that is part of our recording network, and it's amazing. Earlier today, Hector actually set this thing up. It was great to see it. It's a little bit, new for me, and he just explained a little bit about what's going on and what we're doing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're just like, well, Kim, you usually record one way, and it has worked for you. And, to be fair, that's true. And it's not to say that maybe I would never use that method again. But if we have another method and another alternative of doing it, and somehow it's going to result in the same thing, in terms of the quality of recording, maybe a little bit better, I figured, at least to me, it's worth a shot. It's worth the opportunity, and I'm good for it. I said, you know what, Hector, if you think that this is going to be a good thing, we can try it out. We can give it a trial basis, and this episode clearly is the trial basis. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'm excited either way, and I feel like when I create content in any manner, any shape or form, I feel like not only do, the fans win and the audience wins because, they're the most important piece, but I feel like the team here at the Hoang podcast experience, we win as well, because it's like, oh, wow, there's a great response. Oh, wow, the quality of work that, we did into this at this very moment is exactly how we thought it would be, only it's, that much more better, if for anything, maybe by a hair-thin razor margin. But, in the world of sports, points count. Points count. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or if you win by, 21. A win is a win. You know what I mean? And I believe that in this method right now, that what we're doing and how we're recording and how we're making it happen and how we're delivering this stuff to you guys and whatnot, there is no better high. You know what I mean? As a creative person, as a podcaster, it makes me very proud. And I have a sense of pride knowing that I put everything that I put into this thing, with my heart and my soul. And I always tell myself that if I want to be the best podcaster that I can be, number one, and I've said this many a times, you got to be working with the best equipment possible that money can be invested with. Because if you're getting, cheap equipment, I mean, that's only good for a temporary moment in time. That's like, okay, that can just get me by for like an X amount of months. But to be the person where you're actually investing in the real good stuff and stuff that, makes sense, and the stuff that, even like the professionals can use, and I have that with me to share with you, to have a really good quality, like the best quality that we can provide or try to. I mean, I'm just, yeah. I mean, it just, you can't help but to smile, and you can't help but to say, man, this is great. You know what I mean? It is awesome. So I'm really excited for many reasons, because we are going to create great content for this episode today. And I feel like I really owe it to you guys, because when you listen to my podcast, you expect great things. And I want to try to do my best to give you those great things. I mean, I can't give you like a multi-million-dollar, set where it's worth the quality of $1 million, but I'm definitely going to do my damn best to give you all that I got. You know what I mean? And it's very important to me, because I feel like when you try to do your very best, it shows. And I think people notice that, they hear it, and then they care. So that's what it is. And today, at this very moment, we are going to go ahead and cover a little bit of a subject matter that I kind of talked about on the last episode. And that was about the promo world, the marketing promo world, working promo jobs and stuff like that. And the last time that, we spoke about that, I talked a little bit about, like, the ins and outs about, like, how one can get in and, all that stuff. I did mention in that episode that I would be making a future episode talking again about the promo industry, but a little bit about, what are your do's and what are your don'ts? You know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of people that kind of think, well, if I'm working this job, it's probably a lot better than my regular job, which is probably true. They also think that if I'm making a lot more money in the promo job, in the promo world, that, now, because I'm in this status of where I work, I pretty much can do whatever I want. Not necessarily. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let me restate that. I am here to kind of instruct and let you know about these situations. Having a job in, doing promo, working a promo job in, in the promo industry and so forth, it is a blessing. It is a true blessing, and it is great. Because, you have a job, even though, again, like I said before, it's only temporary. It's not permanent. But while you have it, you are given a great opportunity, because you are representing a client that is trusting the promo company to, run their operations. And what I mean by the client is somebody, like, let me give specifics, it could be a promo where the client could be Nintendo. It could be, a client that could be Samsung. It could be a client that could be Verizon Wireless or Xfinity Cable. Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, you know what I mean? Companies like that. It's a common fact that companies like that will throw, like, these tours and events just so that they can get their name out there, and they can, let people know that they are relevant out there in the world, in the in their field of whatever it may be, whether if it's food or beverage, if it's the video game industry, if it's a technology industry. They want to let people know that their company is relevant. And that's why they're actually doing these tours, just to kind of endorse what they do, the product, and etc., etc. You know what I mean? But, like, any other job, like working McDonald's or working at like Michael's art and craft stores or, whatever, it is a job. It is a job, and it is a job that you should take seriously, and you shouldn't try to do anything to mess up that opportunity. Now, here's the dues of working the professional world of promo. You know what I mean? When you work a promo job in the marketing industry, in the promo industry, here are a few things that people need to know and realize. And again, I'm here to school you. I'm here to give you a little bit of an education. So don't think that, oh, you know it all and all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, I know because I've been in that world. And I've been, at least in my opinion, I want to say that I did pretty well. I think I was very successful, and I did exactly what I needed to do. And I'm very proud of that fact. You know what I mean? Number one, most importantly, do show up on time. If anything, show up on time, like at that exact moment. But the way that I was taught that if you're early, you're on time. So if you can show up like maybe even 15 minutes prior to the starting hour, you're ahead of the game. Or if you can show up like 30 minutes before, the operation of your opening work hour, you're really going to be in good graces. So yeah, definitely either show up on time or show up really, really early. Another great tip is develop a very good working relationship with not only your managers, but your fellow brand ambassadors as well. And I say that because if you develop a good relationship with the management team, by that I mean like, the tour managers or the managers that are running that specific program, they're going to be by your side. And by that, it's just like, if they ask you to do something, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Don't challenge the question. Don't challenge the mission. Don't say, why do I have to do this? Blah, 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 blah. If you follow their lead and you do whatever that they request you to do within good reason, they're going to trust you. And when you earn that trust, you earn that respect. And when you earn that respect, it carries a lot of good favor. So yes, that does count. And then when you develop a very good working relationship with your fellow brand ambassadors, it does help out because it's like, if something happens and they see that and they see something's going on and, let's say, for example, you need like something to lean on, they got your back easily. They could easily say, look, we got you. Go ahead and tell the manager what's going on. Maybe take like 5 minutes if you can. We got you covered. You know what I mean? So always be on the good graces of the management and your fellow brand ambassadors, because it does go a long way for sure. Number 3, most importantly, at least in my opinion, is respect the job. Respect the job that you have in the promo job that you're hired to do for this promo event. We sometimes take it for granted, when we work a lot in this world of promo, and we think about maybe, I feel entitled to have this job. No, you're not entitled. You have to earn your spot like everybody else. Everybody had a chance to get in there. But somehow you got in there because maybe it was your experience, or maybe it was your good reputation. Whatever it may be. Be grateful for that opportunity and that job that you have. Because, if you don't, it easily could be taken away. You know what I mean? You didn't have to get that job, but you did. So respect the job. Understand that you have something to do, and please do that job, and do that job well, and do that job to the best of the ability, where the best potential that you can give it. Now, if I'm going to be talking about some don'ts, oh boy. Number one, do not assume that you can do all this and all that. I've been a witness to that many a times, where a lot of people think they can do this and they can do that and it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Okay, normally if you go to the bathroom, it might take you 5 minutes. Maybe 10 if it's an emergency. But if you're going to go over to the bathroom and it takes you like maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, that to me is a little bit of a red flag. Because unless you have some kind of weird medical emergency and it was documented and you told the management team, that's one thing. But if you're going in there for 30 minutes, let's say, for example, to, do your hair or do this, or you're just kind of, finding a loophole to kind of get like an extra break, no, that's not cool. Your team is relying on you to be there so that you can pull your own weight as well as everybody else's. If you're not pulling your own weight, that's forcing everybody else to kind of like cover for you, when, you could have just easily been there and you could have just said, okay, I got this. Now, I know, like, for some people, like, we need to have that time to, relieve ourselves, or, maybe we need to go ahead and take a 5-minute break just to get some air. We get that. But, you don't want to abuse that. So, do not be that type of person. Number two, do not think that you know it all, because if you work one promo job, the other promo job may not be the same. It may not be running in the same operations as it was with the last one. Each one is a little bit different. So don't assume that, all of the jobs are all the same, because it is not. It really isn't. Things are going to be run a little bit differently. There might be a different way of running things and so forth. There might be a different decorum. So yeah, don't do that. Number three, do not be that person where you bring the drama to the whole group and it affects the quality of the work element, the work environment in that promo job. Because if one thing goes wrong and you go, emotionally ballistic, and you do this and you do that and yada yada yada, it's just not good. It's not good. You know what I mean? Last but not least, do not be that person that the people talk bad about, because the word of promo travels fast. It's, to some people, depending on the area, it's a small world, and people can get the news real fast, just by hearing something like, oh, this person did this and this promo job. We hear it. So don't set yourself up for that type of thing. Do the work and do the best that you can, but do not be that person, that really ruins your own rep by doing things that you're not supposed to do. Whether if it's showing bad behavior or doing things that you're not supposed to do in action. The only thing I can say is stick to the plan, man. Stick to the plan. You know what I mean? And show respect to everybody. Again, show a lot of respect and love for everybody. You know what I mean? Nobody's out there to get you. Nobody's trying to steal your spot. Just, if you show love to people, people will show love to you back. If you show them a bad attitude and you display something where you feel like you have a sense of entitlement, or because this person or this hiring person or this person, that the rules that you think that you need to follow, you feel like you're above the rules, you're above the law. Nope. And let me just say this. If you're going to act bad and so forth, I think it's just like you're wasting your time. Nobody's holding your hand. You don't have to be there. You are there once again because you were hired and picked because you're the best at what you do. You have a good working reputation and you have a good reputation of getting along with others and being a team player. But if one aspect or two aspects are missing and it shows, it's just not going to be a good look. And if it continues, then, there's got to be some kind of correction. And again, you don't have to be there. Nobody's making you work that opportunity. You can leave, and that's fine. But, I think that you would rather stay for the reasons that because the job is fun, you would make a lot of money, you get a lot of opportunity out of it. So why lose that? You know what I mean? Why lose a good thing? You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say about that. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and cut it off for a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We will come back. We will talk about some more subject matters. And we will once again still work on this great system that we are using because, my God, it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So don't go anywhere. The Kim Hoang podcast experience is, still here. And we're still cooking. We're going to come right back. Don't go anywhere. And, stay tuned because more is on the way. All right. When people ask me what's the best tool that you have for podcasting, I tell them Spotify for podcasters. Yes, you heard right. Spotify has now created an avenue for podcasters to do their thing. So whether if you need to upload your already made episode or need to create one using their platform on their website or their app, they got you. Also, now you can upload and or create video podcasts episodes with Spotify for podcasters. How cool is that? And the best part is, this service is absolutely 100% free. That's right. No need to give them any credit card information. Therefore, you don't have to pay any costs or monthly fees. How awesome is that? So, for more information, go to podcasters.spotify.com or go ahead and download the app on your smartphone or smart tablet device for free by either going to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Spotify for podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang podcast experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Yo, welcome back to the Kim Hoang podcast experience. And that was a good intermission. I really enjoyed that. Right now, I have to confess, during the intermission, I just needed to do a little bit of walking. So I stepped out of the Asian Sensation Studios and I just kind of walked around that neighborhood. And the circumference of the neighborhood, surprisingly, because I use the walking app Strata, which actually measures, how much distance that you walked and so forth. The circumference is 1.25 miles, which is not bad. Not bad. So I ended up walking around twice. So that was like 2.5 miles, and that was pretty good. Just to kind of clear my head a little bit and kind of get myself prepared for the, next segment, and just thinking about, what I'm going to do and the delivery and so forth. But also, I really feel that it's good exercise. It's something basic. It's easy. Walking is something that's a little bit more comfortable for anybody, of any exercise level, any physical level. It's less taxing as opposed to like weightlifting and doing all these other things. And I enjoy it. It just, you get exercise, you work out the stress, you feel good at the end of the day when you actually do the walk, and it's fantastic. Sometimes you just need to be one with nature and just one with yourself. Walk around, breathe, reset, recharge, and then whenever you're ready to go back at it, then you face the challenge once again and get back to work, if you will. So that's what I did. It was cool. Although I will have to say that getting at my older age, walking is a little bit more of a challenge. And I do find myself, I'm not sure if it's because of the terrain and a lot of the, inclines and declines of the route that I take every time that I walk around. But, it definitely makes my legs work a lot. So after that, I couldn't just record right away. I actually had to go ahead and dip my legs in a bucket full of hot water and Dr. Teal's Epsom salt. So I actually did that for a little bit to kind of calm the tension and so forth down a little bit, because it was a little bit aching, and I don't know if it was going to be like a point where it was going to cramp up, but I just wanted to kind of prevent that. And then luckily here at the studio, I actually have a massage therapy gun that is from the Sharper Image that I actually bought from Costco. So, I mean, it was a hell of a deal. I think I got it for $69.99, as opposed to if you go over to Target or if you go to Amazon Prime, it's easily $99. So I definitely beat the system there when it comes to, finding a good product at a very reasonable price. So that's what happened. That's the story. I am sticking to it. So there it is. Now that I'm actually back from walking and just, I guess you could just say good maintenance, I'm ready to tackle the next segment of our podcast episode, and I'm really excited about this one. Oh, excited may be a little bit more overdramatic, but then again, I'm an actor, so, I'm naturally dramatic in that sense. But I wanted to go ahead and touch on an issue that I guess you could say that, there is a significance of importance, and I just want to go ahead and smash a little bit of some stereotypes about actors. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of stereotypes and a little bit of some myths about actors and so forth for whatever reason. And I just wanted to go ahead and just kind of debunk, the Da Vinci Code that is about actors and acting and so forth. People come up with these preconceived notions about actors, and they think they know a lot of things, and they may get 1 out of 10 right. So in this segment, my mission is just to kind of set the record straight, to let you know about, whether, what's true and what's not, and just make you guys a little bit more well informed about, the life of an actor and so forth. A lot of people, again, they come up with these crazy ideas, and they're just like a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of mistakes in what they say and, where they got that information. So coming directly from an actor, himself, I'm going to give you a little bit of the scoop. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and just, give you a few things, and we'll just give, we'll set the record straight, because I feel like you guys have a right to know. And I want to be the one to facilitate some facts and a little bit of truth. Now, mind you, I'm only talking from the standpoint of local actors. I'm not talking about, the A-list actors that are filming in Hollywood, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or, Emma Stone or anybody like that. I'm talking about those that are, working hard to try to make acting that their main career, their main focus, and taking that dream and going to Hollywood and being famous one day. So that's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the local actors that are trying to make a career. So here we go, in no specific order. Here we go. One myth that I've heard is that actors are financially rich. I mean, they got boku bucks. They have a lot of money, and they're financially well off. 100% false. I cannot stress that enough. Although there might be some local actors, that might be financially well off, because what they do for a living. 9 times out of 10, you're going to meet an actor that is just trying to get by financially. We all have day jobs, and we all use the money that we make from our day jobs to not only make ends meet, but to also invest in ourselves in our acting career. Now, like I said again, and I'll rewind this track a little bit, there are some actors that actually have very good jobs and do make a lot of money on an annual basis. Maybe because they are university graduates and they actually started to work in a field that is very lucrative, or they're working for a company where they pay them financially very well. While there might be some actors that, work in restaurants or work in retail or something like that, and that is the truth. That is the truth. I mean, if we were really financially rich, we wouldn't have to work. We would just concentrate on what we love to do in the world of acting. So, yeah, there you go. I'm not rich. So I work hard and I try to make my money the best way that I can, and I support myself, and I support my habit of not only podcasting, but also to be an actor as well. So there you go. Myth number 2. Actors live in great, beautiful, big homes. Totally false. There are some actors that live in apartments. There are some actors that live in houses with family members. There are some actors that live in a house full of roommates. You know what I mean? Most of those houses are probably just like, your average regular house. I mean, there's nothing really to write home about. It's just a roof over your head. Same thing with an apartment. It's a roof over their head. But either way, when you live in an apartment or you live in a house, you got to pay the rent. There is no big extravagant kitchen. There is no big extravagant game room, or a swimming pool that's outdoors or indoors. There is no indoor bowling alley or an NBA regulation basketball court that's externally outside of another building in the property. It's just that you have a roof over your head, that you have a place to sleep in, that you call your living quarters. And at this point right now, that's really all that you need. I feel like if you really set the goal that high and you become successful, then I could say you could probably revisit that. But until then, nah. I think that you just stay humble and know the place of where you are in the world that you live in right now. So there it is. Myth number 3. Because that you're in a local movie, that means that you're famous worldwide. Or if you are an extra in a major motion picture movie, then you are famous worldwide. Totally false. I don't know who really said that one. I think that that is probably my favorite myth. But no, I mean, you think of it this way. As an actor, you love every and any opportunity that you get. Whether you're actually featured as, one of the lead actors or supporting actors, or if you're just an extra. Oh, excuse me. And that's the type of opportunities that we live for. When we actually get to see ourselves in that project, in that film, and when it comes out to light, it's great. But that's only good for a certain amount of the community. It's not like it actually went out on major theaters all across the United States and all over the world, and people are paying like $20 a pop to actually see your film and so forth. And it's not like you're getting covered by Entertainment Tonight or Extra or any of those entertainment shows, and so forth. You might be known, in your community, in your acting community, and maybe if you play your cards right, if you promote yourself very well on social media about the stuff that you do, then you might be known by those peers. But no way, shape, or form does that mean that you're famous and people know you and so forth. That's the stuff that we are working towards and we aspire to be. We want to work hard. We want to be in all these projects. We want to be in a situation where our acting careers get upgraded to Hollywood status and start making our mark there. But no, we aren't famous. And even if you see us and you say, hey, I was in this movie, they'll probably still think that you're an everyday average Joe. And, that's okay. That's the reality. Until further notice, you're just an up-and-comer trying to work hard and doing your very best. I know there are times that, I've told people that I was in certain movies and certain major Hollywood movies as an extra, and they were like, okay, we don't know you, we believe it, but congratulations and good luck. So there it is. Let's see. So we talked about the financials, we talked about housing, we've talked about people knowing you once you actually get into like a certain film. Number 4 is also one of my favorites. So if you're an actor, then you know every celebrity known to man and you're friends with them. False. Absolutely false. It's a privilege and an honor to actually meet somebody that is a major actor in the Hollywood movie scene. It really is. If I had the chance to meet Robert De Niro, who's one of my favorite actors, I would say it's an honor and a pleasure. I would say that I've had the distinct, great honor of just, being in his presence and maybe taking a picture with him. But I can't say that, I know him. And I can't say that I'm his friend. Because we don't have that type of relationship. Let alone the fact that we don't even have that professional working relationship of, working together in a Hollywood film. I've known a lot of people that claim that, hey, I've met this actor and I met this actor and we're friends and so forth. And in my mind, I think, okay, that's probably true that you probably met this person. I do believe it in the fact that you potentially did take pictures and you have visual proof. But to me, that just means that you met the person, it's not like you have their phone number, and it's not like you can call or text them at any time. And it's not like, you're invited over at their home to kind of hang out and just talk about life and so forth. You know what I mean? So guys, understand that, we don't know all of these celebrities and so forth. Like, my friend's an actor, and she doesn't know Vin Diesel. She doesn't know Vin Diesel at all. She knows of him. She is a big fan of his work. But, she hopes that one day that she will be able to meet him and maybe work with him on a major Hollywood picture. But she doesn't know him. You know what I mean? And if if she had met him, she still doesn't know him. You know what I mean? So, I just want to go ahead and let people know that that's never the case. That's never the case. At all. At all. I think the last myth that I want to try to debunk, number 5, it's a little bit weird. It goes back a little bit with the financial situation, but it's a little bit of a different twist. When you're an actor and you act in movies, you get paid for what you do. That is false. That is false. A lot of these independent local films that you see out there that people make, 9 times out of 10, they come over there to act because, number one, they were selected for the role that they're going to be involved in that project. But mostly, number 2, they understand that when they act, it's actually on a volunteer basis. You don't make any money out of it. You're not getting a paycheck, and so forth. I mean, it's rare that, you possibly could, depending on who you are and the deal, what kind of conditions of the deal that was made between you and the production team and the director. If you're going to get compensated, on a local film, by all means, that's fantastic. And by that, I mean, if you're getting compensated financially, you're going to be making money. You're going to collect that paper. That's great. I'm not mad at that, and that's really, really cool. But the bottom line is that we are at least in this level, we're over at the local filming industry. We're kind of like, I don't want to say it like, the bush leagues or the amateurs, but we're definitely not Hollywood. You know what I mean? We're in the field where we're the up-and-comers. We're hungry. We're trying to do everything we possibly can to get our faces out there and to get our notoriety out there and to get our talent out there so that one day we can possibly get discovered and some major motion picture company, some major production company that's going to be doing a Hollywood film, if they see us and they recognize what we do, then they might say, you know what? I see that guy or I see that woman. They got some kind of great talent. We got to pick them up because that's what we're looking for. That's what we want. And, and that's good. That's something to shoot for. But until that happens, again, we're just the up-and-comers. We're really green in that respect. So I hope that kind of debunks some stereotypes and, some myths about actors because, at least here, the local actors here in the Washington DC Metropolitan Area, although we have a lot of promise and although we have a lot of talent and potential and so forth, we're your regular, everyday, average Joes, that work hard and we have a day job and we're trying to do our very best. We live in a place that, we call home and it's a roof over our heads and, it keeps us warm from the cold and it keeps us dry from the rain. So, yeah, that's the situation. And I'm pretty, I can't speak for everybody, but I could probably speak for myself when I say I'm okay with that for right now. Because if for some reason I get to the big time and I become successful, it will make me appreciate all of those things. You know what I mean? It will really make me appreciate a lot of those things. And, I would forever be grateful knowing that I learned those. Yo, what's up? Oh. I've been passed a note. We have one more myth. Myth number 6. The myth here is, that when you're an actor, you basically get along with everybody, from every actor, every director, producer, stunt coordinator, etc., etc. Let me just explain it like this. We try to. I mean, it's in our best interest to put our best foot forward and to be professional and to really try to get along with the person. When you don't get along with the person, that's when things start to kind of crumble. You know what I mean? That's when it starts to go down. Nobody wants anything bad to happen on the set where you can't get along with the person or you can't work with the person, because that unfortunately is counterproductive, and also it delays success, and it delays where you need to be in terms of, like, you know, where you're at filming wise. You know, if you're on a schedule, you know, you need to try to follow that schedule to the T, or better yet, try to get ahead of schedule, because that way, if something bad happens and you're ahead of schedule, then you just fall back a little bit and you're just back on schedule, which is where, you know, that's the perfect position you want to be in. I have heard a lot about certain actors not getting along with certain people on the set. I'm not going to mention who, and I'm not going to mention what project, but you know, it's probably happened, you know, many a times before, and it's probably going to happen again in the future, you know, way beyond the years, you know, when I'm gone. But the most important part of this situation is that you try to be that professional, you try to do your very best, and you try to do everything that you can to get along with people and have a good time, or at least, if for anything, you know, be able to work with them on amicable terms, and whatever happens outside of, you know, acting, you just kind of keep that to yourself. You know what I mean? So there you go. There you go. The myths and the stereotypes about actors. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I thought that it would be cool to go ahead and discuss that. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to go ahead and take a little break. When we come back, we will once again do my favorite segment, and I know it's your favorite segment too, the Q&A forum. That's right, the Q&A session. I always like these things. I don't even know what the heck's going to happen. All I know is I'm going to answer some questions, and we're going to have a blast with it. So, guys, stay tuned, because the Kim Hoang podcast experience will come back, and it'll be a fun time. So, you know, stay tuned, guys, because, again, we're just getting started. What do you get when you have two undercover police detectives that are underestimated, who utilize their wit, charm, and skills to outsmart the biggest arms dealer and all of his puppets in the region? Then you get the highly anticipated action comedy film of the century, Miscalculated. That's right, starring Romel Xavier Morales, Dameron Kirby, and an all-star cast. Now streaming on Tubi, Discovered, and Reveal. That's Reveel. And now available for purchase on Amazon Prime Video. You heard that right. Now available for purchase on Amazon Prime Video. Miscalculated.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang podcast experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back at it again here on the Kim Hoang podcast experience. And as always, my favorite segment is here. We have come to the greatest segment of them all, the Q&A section, which is the question and answer. I am just very happy about this one. I basically read about 7 questions and I will answer them. And I think it's really cool that I get to answer some questions because you guys have, a lot of inquiries and a lot of thoughts, and, you want them answered, and I'm here to facilitate that. I'm here to do the best that I can. And, I will admit that the questions that you guys send, they're pretty cool. They're very interesting. I do appreciate the fact that you guys send questions that do not have to do with religion and or politics. And again, I say this like a broken record, but this cannot be more further from the truth. I just don't like answering those type of questions, and I don't like bringing them up, because when you discuss those subject matters, it's, to me, in my opinion, is a recipe for disaster. More arguments and unnecessary fights and comments will basically manifest out, and it's just something that's unneeded, you know what I mean? So I'd rather just talk about things that I feel a little bit more comfortable about. I'd rather talk about things that, will not bring any bloodshed or any kind of super bad argument out there in the world. I just want to go ahead and ask, I just want to answer any questions that you guys want to ask that are either fun or just something that I might know, or just something that does not have to do with politics and or religion. I mean, that's just the type of dude that I am. But we're here. We got 7 questions. I actually had them texted over to me because Hector gave me the questions, and he said, these are the ones that you should really answer. And I said, okay, cool. So we have it here on my iPhone under the notepad. I am ready to go, and I have the questions here. So here we go. Question number 1. This one comes from Arthur of Kennesaw, Georgia. And he says, Kim, I have a podcast of my own, and lately I've been frustrated. I've shown a lot of frustration because the guests that I've tried to invite on my show have all declined my offer. Does this mean that I'm terrible at what I do? Because I'm failing really bad here. Arthur, dude, first and foremost, I understand and I get that. I definitely feel that sometimes when you want to go ahead and invite a guest on your podcast, especially someone that you have of high interest, and they decline the offer, yeah, you feel really bad normally because, that was a sign of rejection. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's the end-all, be-all, and it doesn't mean that you're a really bad podcaster. You know what I mean? I think, honestly, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like acting, There's a lot of competition. You never know what's going to happen. You try to put yourself out there, and sometimes you get rejected because, unfortunately, they want to go another direction. So it's not you, you know what I mean? At least in my opinion, it's not you. And don't say that, you're terrible at podcasting, because honestly, bro, you, like every other podcaster, has a lot of potential, and you probably have a lot to offer. I would just concentrate on, the positives rather than the negatives. Let's look at it. You have a podcast, you share it with the world. You probably have a couple of good followers, you know what I mean? And your content, it's out there. It's not like it was created by the FCC and it was like, thrown on the wayside, because if your material is out there and people are listening to it, then you're doing your job. And you're doing your job well. So, Arthur, just keep your head up, bro. I mean, there's many a times, honestly, that I've had a situation where I wanted to invite certain guests that I feel would have been a perfect fit for the show and would have been a great opportunity for the both of us. And it just didn't work out. And I hate to use this old term, but if I had $100 for every person, every potential guest that I wanted to have on my podcast who rejected me, I would probably be able to pay a couple of bills easily. You know what I'm saying? So, if that's anything. But Arthur, man, just keep your head up, bro, and do your thing. You're probably, you're fine. You're going to be doing good things, and you're doing a good job. Just keep your head up, and, just remember to keep creating and keep doing what you're doing on your own podcast. So there you go. Question number 2 comes from Elaine of Syracuse, New York, and she says, Kim, on a previous episode, you had said that you now have a PC laptop. Does this now change your stance on PCs, or are you still an Apple computer guy? Elaine, that's a very good question. Wow, you really, shots fired. Boom. So, here's my official stance. I'm always going to be an Apple guy. I will always love Apple computers, and I will always use it. And that will probably be my first computer of choice. Just because of the fact that, like I've said before, it's very easy to use. It syncs very well with all of my Apple devices, like the Apple iPad and the Apple iPhone and the Apple TV and so forth. But ever since now working with a Dell laptop PC and using that as like a secondary computer and, the backup and everything like that, I will admit that, it's not as bad as I thought. And to be honest with you, when we all started learning computers, we learned on a PC, right? So it's basically going back to, my roots of how I learned on a computer. Now, things are a little bit different now because I think the interface, the last time that I used a PC, I think it had like Windows Millennium or Windows 7 or something like that. So I've been, I've been out of the PC loop for quite some time, But I'm really glad to, at least be more open-minded again in using a PC. And, at this age, in these times, we're lucky enough to have a computer in the household, even if it's like one computer. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if it's an Apple or if it's a PC. As long as you have one computer, it does matter. And it does help out. One of the lifelines I always say is or many lifelines in life that you have are the following. You have a car or some kind of vehicle that it gets you by. You have your cellular phone device, whether if it's like a smartphone from like Android base or an iPhone, and you have a computer, whether if it's a PC or an Apple. And in this case, I'm cool with using a PC. Again, not my first choice, but I think that I've come in better terms. So there you go. Question number 3 comes from Teddy of Colonial Heights, Virginia. Kim, what are your opinions on thrift store shopping? When I buy my clothes from there, people make fun of me for buying used clothes, and they say I'm too poor for not buying brand new clothes. Teddy, I don't think there's anything wrong with going thrift store shopping and buying clothes there. I think anybody and everybody has done it. I've done it for the sake of the following. Being an actor, you always want to get like different types of clothing and stuff like that for costuming purposes. But also, I'll admit that, if I catch a good sale and if I see something that I like, I'm going to buy it, hands down. Now, does that make me feel like, oh, well, Kim's poor and stuff like that? No. I'm comfortable with that. And I think you should be comfortable with it too, because, hey, at least you're buying clothes and you're wearing them. You know what I mean? You're buying what is brand new to you, but a used shirt, you're wearing it, putting it, covering your back, and it works. I mean, it's better to buy clothes from thrift stores rather than not buying it at all and just being potentially naked. And besides, you really shouldn't care what those other people say. You know what I mean? Are they the ones that are providing you money with brand new clothes or, clothes on your back? I would say to them that, if they're not providing you any money to get brand new clothes or any type of clothes at all, then they don't have an opinion. They don't have a say. So they need to really keep their comments to themselves. And I'm really sorry, Teddy, that you're going through a hard time like that. I mean, I know a couple of people that, probably feel the same way. And you're not alone. So it's all good, Teddy. You know what I mean? I like thrift store shopping. I'll buy used stuff. I'll wear it loud and proud. And if anybody wants to make fun of me for it, personally, I just don't care. I don't have a concern. So there it is. Question number 4 comes from Mandy, Kissimmee, Florida. And she says, although I like martial art companies like Century Martial Arts and Macho, I think that there are uniform companies, that being martial art uniform companies, that are more made for specific martial arts that Century Martial Arts and Macho cannot provide. What are your thoughts? Mandy, you're pretty much very accurate on that. Now, I'm not going to diss Century Martial Arts and Macho Martial Arts because I got a lot of respect for the both companies. And they make a solid martial arts equipment. And they do make good martial arts uniforms. I will give them that. They've definitely been around for quite some time. And both companies are basically like the movers and the shakers of the martial arts industry. However, I do believe that there are some things that, Century Martial Arts and Macho lack, in terms of like the diversity of uniforms. Like example, I have friends that train in Kung Fu and wear the traditional Kung Fu jacket. Now, although Century Martial Arts does sell like a Kung Fu jacket and stuff like that, they don't really sell other types of uniforms of the Kung Fu jacket that fit the palette that they are searching for. Just not just sleeved, but maybe sleeveless. Not just black, but maybe in white or other colors. Not just in cotton, but maybe like silk or rayon and stuff like that. And it's just, a disadvantage. Just like in Century Martial Arts, they don't sell a lot of Korean-based martial art uniforms like Hapkido or, the Mudokwan style of Taekwondo, where the gi jacket or the dogi jacket or the martial arts jacket has the black trim all around on the neck area going down and around the bottom of the uniform, and like black stripes going down the sides of the pants. Let alone the fact that if they did, let's say, make that style, and if it was like in the heavyweight uniform, which is like a heavy canvas, they won't make it for like the like a middleweight or a lightweight uniform, which is a real awful situation. That's why I go to other companies like Sang Musa or Golden Tiger Martial Arts for that type of situation. And I've actually heard of things where a couple of friends that study like Japanese styles of martial arts prefer other martial art companies like Arawasa or Ki International or, Shiraido or Takedo, because they feel like that's a little bit more of the Japanese style of uniform that's more catered to that. Not to say that Century and Macho don't make solid uniforms again, and I'm not dissing them for that. I'm not dissing them for their equipment. I'm not dissing them for what they've done for the martial arts community, but I just think that they're lacking in that department. So if that's anything, that's my stance, Mandy. Now, if you just study like regular martial arts or karate or something like that, where you just need a uniform, by all means, Century Martial Arts and Macho got you. But if you're looking for that specific stuff, that may not be the route to go. So, question number 5 comes from Trent of Ogden, Utah. What new movie are you looking forward to see once it's actually out into the movie theaters? Easy answer. I really want to see Bad Boys Ride or Die, which is the latest installment of the Bad Boys film series. From the trailer, I thought it looked really good, and it really, really had me going. And I was like very intrigued at that point. Also, I've been hearing a lot of good reviews lately that it's been getting like really, really good reviews from a lot of great, critics and so forth. So if that's anything, I definitely want to see it. I think that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence has a really good acting dynamic together as a team. And, we'll just see, how well it is. I mean, I definitely feel like at some point this week I would like to check it out, especially since for like the next 2 weeks I have like a paid vacation, so I definitely want to go ahead and just check that out. But yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die, that's the movie I want to check out. Hopefully if I can get there a little bit earlier, like maybe around 12 or 1, then the price is not going to be as bad, because movie prices now these days, yeah, it's expensive, bro. It's very expensive. All right, question number 6. What do you think about the new spin-off comedy series of Young Sheldon called Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage? That is coming from Jessica of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Jessica, I'm looking forward to that. I'm a big fan of Young Sheldon, and, I'm also a big fan of The Big Bang Theory, where, that's where it came from. So to actually see Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, I'm really excited because, it's leaving off, somewhere where, now it's Georgie and Mandy and they're trying to figure it out. They're married. They have a baby girl. So they're trying to, navigate their own life and see where it goes and so forth. And I'm really excited. I really want to see how it goes. The actor that portrayed Georgie and the actress that played Mandy are reprising their roles. And I'm really excited for that. I don't know what to expect, but I do have some cool expectations that, if The Big Bang Theory was funny, if Young Sheldon had a lot of great things about that show that connected the world, then I feel like this new series that CBS put out with Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, I expect that, that's probably going to be in the same realm. So, let's see. All right, last but not least, question number 7 comes from Alexis of Riverside, California. And this is a very good question. It's very interesting. When will the Kim Hoang podcast experience go viral online visually, like a video on YouTube or a video on any video podcasting platform? Alexis, I really have talked about that with a lot of people and expressed that I would love to go that route as well. Not just the traditional audio podcast that you hear on your favorite podcasting platform. I really have talked about it, and I would love to see where that would go. I just don't have the resources to do that. I don't know how to do that, and that's why I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now. The only type of visual that I'm doing in terms of my podcast is that periodically I will go on TikTok and you can access me doing a live podcast show when I do it, like on a weekly basis at least. And that's just for people to have some sort of visualization of what I do with my podcasting. Also, I think it's also great practice because if I do it on video, then whatever I say on the video can easily be translated on audio form like this. And I've already had enough practice as it is that, when I do the podcast here for a second time, it's just going to be like, okay, It's second nature. He practiced, whatever he did prior, and he's ready to go. So if there's anybody out there that can help me to do like a video portion of my podcast and really put it out there for anybody who watches podcasts on a video podcasting platform or YouTube or something like that, and you know how to get it together and slap it on for a visual presentation, email me. You know what I mean? Talk to your boy, because I really would like to explore that avenue. So there it is. The Q&A session is now adjourned. I answered 7 questions, and it's been good. It's been really good. And we're going to close it out. Guys, you can go ahead and find me on Facebook by searching me under the search box and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Please like it, follow it, and all that good stuff. We are on 2 social media platforms, or in this case, just social media websites. We are on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. Follow me at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. Follow me and I'll follow you back. We are on a lot of podcasting platforms of Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We have YouTube Music, and the podcasting and electronic book, online book podcasting platforms in Audible. That's right, the new platform created by Amazon, and I'm not sure how much the monthly membership is. You may have to check online, but it's not free, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to access podcasts or books online, that is one way to go. You know what I mean? Do me a favor, like and subscribe to my podcast on all the podcasting platforms provided and mentioned. And please do me a favor. Number 1, please share this podcast with everybody via, if you want to tell somebody in person, face to face. Like if you got a friend, tell them about it. Tell them about the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Also, if you can give me a 5-star review, you can go ahead and give me a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you can give me a 5-star review and a positive written message on Apple Podcasts, please do so. That just ensures that the more 5 stars that we get on Spotify, the more 5 stars that we get on Apple Podcasts, along with that positive written review, then this podcast will be going to the head of the class. And somebody might look at it and say, yo, this is what the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience was, told to me about, and I heard it, and I got to go ahead and check it out. Yes, go ahead and check it out. It would be amazing. Even spread the word out on social media. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got Twitter, known as X, we got Snapchat, we got TikTok. Just let the people know. Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest, if you want to be a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, or if you have a question for our Q&A forum, please email us at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, write the subject, and whatever your, what you have to say, write it down in the body of it, send the email out. I'll get that email within like a day or two, and I will read it and I will respond, because I do believe in proper communication and correspondence, and I actually like, acknowledging that. So there you go. But that's all the time that we have, guys, and I feel great. We made another episode, and I could not have done this without you guys. It's been amazing. Please be safe out there and make the right decisions in life, because it doesn't do us any good if you actually do the wrong things and then get buried in a pine box and get buried like 6 feet under. We don't want that to happen to you because we believe in you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy, and you deserve that. We really do. We want you to succeed in life and just wear a smile with it on the way to whatever it is that you're trying to do in life. You know what I mean? So that's all I got. It's amazing. I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much for the love and support. And again, please like and subscribe to my podcast on all of the podcasting platforms. Please tell your friends and share it with a lot of people on all of your social media networks. So that's all the time that I got for right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So for the one time, coming all the way from the Washington DC Metropolitan Area in the beta room that is inside the Asian Sensation Studios, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation, or I should say it one more time. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation, saying thank you, arigato, obrigado. We really appreciate it. We're going to come back real soon, and I love each and every one of you guys. Stay safe. I love you all. God bless you, and we will do this again. All right? Peace.